So, it's just gone 11, and I am heading out to Dachau to pay my respects, to pay witness, like I said. But first, I need to find some breakfast. Just gonna look for some fruit, maybe a banana, and head on in. I'm pretty chuffed though. I just asked the concierge at the place I'm staying, where is an ATM? But I asked in German. And usually when I try that, they realize I don't speak German. But I obviously did it correctly because she answered completely in German. And I got a general sense of what she was trying to say, but no, pretty chuffed. So I found this pretty little place called Odeonplatz. I still need to find a grocery store, but I've been told there's some over that way. So I'll come back here and have a look later, but it's really cute. Cool. Be back later. Warm today. Not as warm as yesterday, but still warm today. Take my jacket off, I'm usually fine. So, I'm off the train now and I'm in Dachau, the town. My understanding is I have to take a shuttle out to the actual camp. Pretty unadorned today. Wouldn't have really been appropriate to sort of peacock at all at the camp, I don't think, so I'll talk to you when I get there. I don't think I'll film in the camp, actually. I'm not sure if that would be terribly respectful. But I'll talk to you after I've left, give you my general impressions of it. But yeah, I won't actually be filming in the camp. Yeah, it feels wrong. It kind of just looks like any other small town, you know? But again, like, it's that banality of evil. Like, it really hits you whenever you come, when you come to these sorts of places. It's just an ordinary town. So I'm at the Memorial Centre. I bought my ticket for the English tour. I thought it'd be good. It's got a cafeteria here, which I don't know if I feel very good about. I bolted down some water, mostly because I don't want to be sort of supping away while I'm walking through the camp. It wouldn't seem appropriate. But yeah, here's the first thing you see before you come in, before you actually go into the camp proper. So, talk to you after the tour. Willkommen, meine Kameraden, im Dachau. So I just finished up at the camp and had a bottle of beer. And now I'm going to head back into Munich to get some dinner. Thoughts on the camp? Really, really, really good. If you only see one concentration camp, go to Dachau. I mean, I do plan on going to Auschwitz if I ever go to Poland. But do go to Dachau. Really good engagement with the scholarship. Not afraid to call out the Nazis for being the evil force that they are. Sometimes you go to museums where they all try and be apolitical, but, you know, with something as evil as the Holocaust, it's kind of impossible to do that. Really, another great thing is that they never shy away from the fact that a great many people were not brought to justice. So that's really, really good. What else about it? The tour is quite good, very, very well researched, very well curated by the guides. Most of the people on the tours I thought were quite respectful. I was worried that they wouldn't be. There was one guy who took a selfie with one of the memorials, which is a bit gross, but otherwise very, very good. First they bring you through, so they take you to the sort of where the old entrance would have been, then they take you through the museum. And then after that, this particular tour guide, she took us to the crematoria, which now that was the point where I felt people were acting the most inappropriately, and that people were sort of like taking pictures of it, which I thought was weird. But then, you know, they'd sort of stop and they'd look and they'd think and they'd go like, okay, people with thoughts and dreams and feelings, like human beings, were murdered and burnt in these facilities. What else? Yeah, I mean, it's just very well curated. Very well run, everyone there was very respectful. Thoroughly recommend going to visit Dachau if you're interested in sort of the history of the camps, that kind of thing. And even if you're not, even if you just want to pay those respects, which you really ought to. I mean, that was the first question our guide asked us. Why do we come to see these things? And we all said, yeah, to pay respect, to sort of stop this from ever happening again. It was pretty good. I mean, I actually almost broke into tears towards the end, because one of the last things they show you was the memorial. There's a great bit where it's got a bit in 5 languages. I think it's Yiddish, English, German, French and Russian, that all just say, never again. And they're right, just never again. This can never happen again. So Dachau, do come visit it if you're in this part of the world. You really need to. see the town of Dachau is kind of like just a regular old town, really. Again, as I was saying earlier, it's the banality of evil, really. You know, I noticed, so you take the bus and then you get there, but the last thing you see before you actually get to the camp memorial is a kindergarten. So apparently at the time the camp, like the town was a good deal smaller, but they wouldn't have known it was there. So, you know, it's just like any other town. Like, you know, places like this exist in other countries. We just don't acknowledge it like they do here, which is good. Like they acknowledge it here, which is good. You know, I guarantee you somewhere near my house, some horrible crime of colonialism has been visited against Indigenous Australians. But it's really good that they have this place to sort of, Germans keep making the point that they're one of the few countries that makes memorials to its worst crime. And I think we could learn from that. But yeah, Dachau, just a regular old town in many ways. It's sort of bucolic, kind of stereotypically German in its own way. It's the first thing you see when you come here by S-Bahn from Munich proper. Willkommen, meine Kameraden, im Odeonplatz. So I'm here mit meiner neue Pocket Square. I mean, how could I resist? There's a suit shop like literally just over there. It's great. But anyway, here on this Platz on November 9th or possibly 10th of 1923, police and soldiers setting up a cordon opened fire on Hitler and the Nazis as they walked down the street just behind me to try and take over this building here, or possibly the yellow one, I can't tell which one is which, called the Feldherrenhalle, during their putsch in 1923 as a means to take over the government of Bavaria and declare a Nazi state. So yeah, this is where it all went down. One of the first major acts of anti-fascist resistance in Germany. I said in my Berlin video that a lot of people forget that there was a sizable number of people in Germany who actually resisted the Nazis. That's not to say they didn't enjoy a great deal of popular support or indifference coupled with fear, which is probably quite an accurate assessment of the situation. But even so, it shows that a great number of Germans actually did resist, even from the beginning, even 10 years before they actually took over power. So we're going to do the march in reverse. So just down the street behind me towards Odeonplatz. I think that's the street they walked down, if I remember correctly. Either or, it's the same general direction. And then we'll finish up at the, if I can say the word correctly, we'll finish up at the Brauerbeikeller, which is the beer hall that they began the march from. Although it's not there anymore, they've put up a theatre there, and they've left a little plaque there for a man who tried to assassinate Hitler in 1939. But we'll get to that later. So let's get walking. So there's a little plaque just behind me to the 4 policemen who died that day fighting the Nazis. Let's go have a look. Just to give you a sense of the size of this, you know, and like look at this, you know, this is Germany, man. Like this is an old country, and this is the Feldherrenhalle again from a slightly different angle. Sorry I couldn't get the best shot. This either setting up or taking down stuff for a beer festival, so I don't know. We worked with what we're given. But yeah, so this is my understanding is that they walked down this street or possibly the street over. Either or, they would have been coming this way. So yeah, I mean, this is just walking against their footsteps, as you always should. Yeah, there you go. Just as an aside, I was talking to the guy that I bought this new Pocket Square from in the shop. He was saying that, you know, I asked him, like, what's the big sort of menswear center of Germany? And he says there wasn't really one, you know, all of the big cities are good, like Hamburg and all the rest. But he did say, and it got me very, very excited, is that if you come to Europe, obviously you got to go to places like Odeonplatz and Milan and Naples and all the rest. But he said that Moscow is a great center for menswear, which is really exciting because I had no idea. I didn't think they would have, but obviously with the fall of communism that was allowed to flourish, so that's looking pretty fun. I mean, like, it'll be great to see the menswear scene in Moscow, to give it a look. But back to the tour. So, I have taken a slight detour off of the march. I initially thought this was Marienplatz, but this is actually Max-Joseph-Platz. This guy behind me, he was king of Bavaria, that's what his statue says. I have literally no idea, I know nothing about him. But yeah, king of Bavaria. We've got this cool looking museum or something behind him, you know. Big sort of beer garden thing just over there, maybe something to look at. But we have a march to follow, or to march against. So yeah, let's find where we're supposed to go. So I was wrong. So we are actually, yes, on Max-Joseph-Platz, but that's where but we want to get to down here, Marienplatz, and I must have been walking down Residenzstraße when we really want Theater in Straße, however that's pronounced. And then that'll bring us down to Marienplatz, and we'll go down Marienplatz, and we'll head down towards Isartor. Let's go look. I've noticed like a billion different sort of women's wear and menswear shops, so this must be like the shopping district now. So that's cool, didn't know that. You know, yeah. Place where Nazis once marched through is now a shopping district. There you go. Ain't life grand. There you go, the German for menswear must be Herrenmoden. You learn something new every day. So we're here now on Marienplatz. Now, I don't really know what happened here during the putsch. I've seen a few photos that show that, like, there's tons, like, the whole place is full, guys in trucks, a huge crowd. So whether or not they were Gawkers or active resistors, who knows? For the ones who were resisting, good on you. No pasaran. But yeah, here's Marienplatz, and it looks pretty... It's hoppin', as my parents would say. Seems like this is sort of the shopping district now, as I said, and there's lots of cafes and bars and things, and there's like, you can get lots of beer and all the rest. So, if I were here any longer, well, I am here tomorrow, so I could come here for breakfast or something. That might be nice. But yeah, so Marienplatz. So let's head on down towards Isartor, which I'm assuming they would have walked down the big main streets, and this would have been the big main one. One of the streets over this would have been the big main one toward Isartor, and then we'll eventually get to the other beer hall. But there's probably not much interesting, and if there is, I'll show you. But otherwise, let's just head down and have a look. So you might have noticed now, if you probably can't see it, but you probably noticed in my Dachau video that like I looked like I was really sweating, but that's not the case. I've discovered that in southern Germany they do what they do in France and Italy, which is they have big fountains that you can wash yourself in, like, you know, splash some water on your face when it gets hot. Really great. Love it when they do it in Italy and France, and love it when they do it here. So yeah, there you go. There is a headless man playing the accordion. München. Meine Damen und Herren. There you go. If you take nothing else away from this video series, do as the dandy does when you're on holidays, and just wander, because I've stumbled across one of the most lively places I've seen in this whole town. So definitely coming back here for dinner, not that other place that my friend recommended. Might do that tomorrow or whatever. But yeah, I mean, cool. So remember, do as the dandy does. Maybe the 3Ds, we could get rid of the as, but whatever. So, no, it looks really lively, really cool. We'll be back here soon after looking at the beer hall, or what used to be the beer hall. Let's keep going. Over a pretty river, and I feel really shit because I do not know what this river is. You know, a self-confessed, historian of the Nazi period, and I have no idea what this river's called. It was pretty nice, pretty cool, very pretty. So, we got a little distracted there. I'll edit it in. But got a little distracted there because the fire service is out with a big helicopter because someone's fallen in the river. And they're they're strafing up and down the river trying to find this person. And yeah, all of them were out there with their uniforms on and the trucks and everything. And there was one guy who's like, they're like press liaison, like he's got a camera and everything, so like he's clearly going to be putting out a statement if they can't find someone, or if they do, hopefully. But yeah, there you go. It's a little thing you wouldn't see if you didn't go for a wander in Munich. There you go. Would you look at that? They're so far inland, but Bavarians will still go for a swim in what looks like really quite scary water. But yeah, there you go. set up under the bridge. Go have a look after we've looked at the hall. So here we are at where the beer hall once stood. I'll give you a shot of where it is now. It's a big theatre, and we've got a big bit of information on the putsch. It's all in German, so I can't read it out to you. The main thrust of the story basically being Hitler and stuff tried to take over the government of Bavaria and failed. But we've also got a little memorial to Johann Georg Ilse. He's a man not people who haven't studied the period haven't really heard of, but in 1939 he attempted to assassinate Hitler, because every November Hitler would come down here and he'd celebrate the first attempt at taking power, and he'd make a big long speech, and this is a fixture of the year. But obviously in 39 the war broke out, so he had to leave early. Now Ilse had, over the course of several weeks, set up a bomb in a pillar that behind which that Hitler would have stood in front of. And the bomb went off like he had timed it, but Hitler had left about 15 minutes early. So this is some pictures of what the area looked like at the time. Now, he was held captive until 1944 in Dachau. And he was then murdered about a month before the surrender of Nazi Germany. And yeah, this is a little plaque just for him. So Ilse's a bit of an enigma in the sense that he wasn't really, at least by his family, they didn't think he was terribly politically active. But I've done some reading, and he had joined a couple of communist-associated workers' unions, and he said that he voted communist up until 1933 because he felt they had the best interests of the workers at heart. So yeah, he was kind of what you'd call like a non-committal leftist, in that, you know, he resisted the Nazis, but it was only until 1939 that he actually put his plans into, or he put his beliefs rather, into practice. So to me, a hero worthy of being remembered. So Burger Braukeller, that's how you pronounce it. I keep getting it wrong. Get a better shot of him for you. Good on you, Georg. Good on you. So this is where the beer hall would have stood. Now it's this big modern looking theatre. Good on him. And yeah, this would have been on this spot here. So they would have started here, and then you can't see it from here, although I'll go over there, see if you can. So they would have walked from here across the bridge I came across, which would be just over here. It's really magic of movie editing. It's really good. Didn't want to linger there too long. A couple was having a bit of a cuddle there, so that would have been a bit rude. But anyway, that was a shot of the street, the bridge that they would have crossed in order to get into the centre of town, then make their way through along the street up to Marienplatz, then to Odeonplatz, where they were fired upon, and rightly so. So yeah, that is the march in reverse. So there you go. And yeah, I think it's time to head back to that really lively place I showed you, have some dinner, go home, have a shower, rest, and then see a bit more of Munich tomorrow, and then see my friend. All right, until then, stay dandy.